Good evening and glory to Jesus Christ. So, I had some comments on my last video that I made about monarchical Trinitarianism. Well, the video was about Trinitarianism and a Muslim argument against it, a really silly one. And I'd mentioned monarchical Trinitarianism. And there was a Muslim or two that got on there and accused me of not being able to define it. So, I did that. I wrote down a definition, my best representation of monarchical Trinitarianism and what it is. So I'm going to try to do that as quickly as possible in this video, to, Lord willing, hopefully faithfully and accurately represent monarchical Trinitarianism. And I'm going to try to do that as quickly as I can so I don't keep you guys here too long. So without further ado, let's start. Monarchical Trinitarianism is the... No, I'm just joking. I'm going to read it slower than that. So what is monarchical Trinitarianism? Monarchical Trinitarianism is the original Trinitarian doctrine shared and taught by the early church. This means that the early church, for the first 6-7 centuries, unanimously taught monarchical Trinitarianism. Which is, in a nutshell, the Father as the head of the Godhead. And we're going to get into more of what that means in a second. But through the East to the West, all the way in Rome, this is what was taught. And so, basically, what is monarchical Trinitarianism? Well, its main premise is that the Father is the one God, as professed in the Nicene Creed, i.e., I believe in one God, the Father Almighty, and He is the fountain or the origin of the divine essence or nature amongst all three persons, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit of the Godhead. The name of monarchical Trinitarianism comes from how the doctrine is often analogized with an earthly monarchy, like the king, the queen, and the royal family. Although the analogy is imperfect, and it is, as any finite language is imperfect to try and perfectly describe the infinite that is God, it still does a good job at its goal of representing the Trinity. It does a pretty good job at this. So, as well as the point before, that the Father is the source of the divine essence or nature of the Trinity, monarchical Trinitarianism logically concludes from this that the Father is the head authority of the Trinity, making monarchical Trinitarianism the most logically and, more importantly, the most biblical view of the Trinity. Since Jesus himself says in John 14:28, the Father is greater than I, and he says the Father is the only true God in John 17:3. Well, what this means is that the Father is greater than the Son and the Holy Spirit in authority, but not nature and essence, since they all share the same divine nature and essence. So now I'm going to try and represent this a little more without my little script there. So basically, the Father is the head, and we analogize this with a monarchy, such as the king and the royal family, as I stated before. That, let's take the king and the prince, the king's son. So the king is higher than the prince, his son, in authority. Yet they both share the same human nature. And this pretty well grasps the concept of monarchical Trinitarianism and how the real relation between the Godhead is. And you can flip this analogy in a way, although this is imperfect as well. You can flip this analogy to mirror the divine nature between the king and the royal family. So the king is the highest authority in the kingdom, and the royal family also shares authority. But who is the source of that authority? The source of that authority is the king, just as the Father is the source for the divine nature and divine essence of the Trinity. So that's basically monarchical Trinitarianism in a nutshell. it goes way more in depth if you research it. My goal here isn't to try and lay out every single thing about it, because that would just take hours and it might be a little boring. So I would very much suggest you guys to go and research this on your own further. And just as I've laid out there, you'll come to the conclusion that this is the most biblically accurate view of the Trinity. And because it is the most biblically accurate, this is the view that the early church held to. This isn't something proposed by people and theologians within the last 100 or 200 years. No, this is the most ancient view of the Trinity, and it was men who, from daylight to dusk, were in the Scriptures studying, and in all of the works that they had from the apostles of Jesus, studying this stuff. None of us today can hold a candle to those guys. We have way too many distractions. But yeah, this is the most biblically accurate view of the Trinity, and I really hope that you guys will go and research this further. And as always, please guys, like this video and subscribe to my channel. It helps a lot. I'm only at 122 subscribers right now. I need as many as I can get. So please, if you watch this, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys, and God bless.